All right, Lotters. Star Kiper Jr. back for week 6 in the lot. Had an okay week last week, 3-2. Would have been 4-1, but all of a sudden, 2 days after all the games are through, we get a reversal, and Scoresman ends up winning the Nanu showdown with Stinker. So I was 4-1 on Monday morning, but I guess I went 3-2 on the week. It leads me to 17-8 for the season. Still putting up some good numbers. So take this stuff to your bookies and make yourself some money. Let's get right into it. We got Scoresman at Fuff. Scoresman is getting 7, surprisingly for a 4-1 team. I guess the 4-1 has gone to Coach Vinny's head. We're going to refer to him as Riverboat Vin from now on. He's going to roll with Antoine Smith for the Falcons. Look, I get it. Every time the guy touches the ball, it's a 72-yard touchdown. But he's getting 1 carry a game. So, in the fantasy circles, it's all about opportunity. And I realize he's making the most of his opportunities. But he's going to need a couple more to really be fantasy relevant from week to week. So kind of a gamble there, putting Smith in your lineup. And then putting Cousins in over Stafford. Yeah, Stafford's been a disappointment this year. The Lions offense hasn't been what we thought it was going to be. Megatron's dinged up. Golden Tate really hasn't been the number 2 that everybody hoped for. Just seems like that passing offense has sort of been off a little bit. And Cousins had a couple nice weeks. And, Arizona's a little suspect. Some of their DBs are banged up right now. So, again, kind of a gamble. I don't know that everybody would sit Stafford in favor of Cousins. But good for you, Vin. 4-1. Keep going for it. Ben Tate should be injured in the pregame meeting on Saturday night. So, just keep an eye out for that. He might trip walking into the conference room or what have you. So, he may or may not play. Getting over to Fuff's side, I think Fuff's team anagram now stands for Furious Ugly Flex. That position has been an absolute nightmare for Coach Derek. He has D-Jax in there for quite a while. And he takes him out, puts T.Y. Hilton in. He doesn't produce. Puts D-Jax back in, doesn't produce. Then he gets Donnell off the waiver wires because he was the hot pickup. He does nothing, and then D-Jax blows up on his bench. It's just been one after the next, a disappointment from week to week for that flex position. So, if he can get that straightened out and guess right, he's going to be kind of dangerous. Lamar Miller is going to do well this week. I think, the Green Bay defense against the run is suspect, and I think that even if No-Shawn comes back this week, there's enough room there for he and Miller to have some good days. And then, so I think Fuff's got a solid lineup. Aside from that, his receivers look good. Of course, he's got Aaron Rodgers. So I like Fuff to win and cover over Riverboat Vin. Moving on, we've got Kitty at Stinker. For Kitty, Matt Ryan's at home against the Bears. It's always a good recipe for success. Ryan plays better at home than he does on the road. The problem is she's currently leaving her best giant on the bench. She's got Cruz and Randall in the lineup right now. Well, Andre Williams is the guy that's going to have the big day on Sunday. He's got all the work now with Rashard Jennings being injured. I think that he's gonna have a real big day. He's gonna get a lot of opportunity. Obviously, nobody to share the workload with. So it'll be interesting to see if Kitty gets him in her lineup or not. Then for Stinker, DeMarco Murray has been all that and then some. But I think he's going to struggle against the Seattle D this week. Seattle's actually been better against the run than they are against the pass. Usually known for that tough secondary. They're actually doing a better job against the run this year. So look for Murray to find it difficult to find running room. I predict Sean Sweezum is this week's Phil Dawson. He should score 768 points on 1,300 field goals, like Dawson did last week. So I think that's going to benefit Stinker. And, of course, the rest of his lineup looks good. Lynch's got a good matchup. Gore's got a great matchup against St. Louis on Monday night. So I think he's strong there. So Stinker was getting 5. He was a dog in this matchup. I'm calling it upset special. Stinker to win. Moving on to Star at Outlaw. For Star, he's got 2 running backs in his starting lineup that may combine for 15 touches. As we all know, they're not even the first option on their own team. So really puts Star in a bind at the running back position this week. His only good matchup in the lineup outside of that is Julio versus the Bears. I look for him to have a pretty big week, getting those passes from Matt Ryan. So we'll see how the rest of Star's lineup fares there. Over to Outlaw's side, extremely fortunate last week to beat Fuff. Fuff put up a 30-point effort, so usually that means you're going to lose, and Outlaw didn't do much better, but he did eke out the win. It's just been a disaster for Outlaw's lineup this year. McCoy has been a crazy disappointment, and he's actually holding all of Outlaw's roster hostage because you can't deal him because you're not going to get what you think he's worth. Well, he's not really worth that anymore, the number 1 overall pick. He's not producing, but you can't bench him. You have to leave him in your lineup. So he's really got Outlaw hamstrung from that standpoint. A.J. Green is now hurt, injured his toe in practice this week. His status for this weekend's game is in question. And then you never know which Tom Brady's going to show up. So his big 3 are kind of a question mark moving forward. But for a positive for Outlaw, I do think he's going to get enough from his secondary receivers. Gates has got a nice matchup. I think Terrence Williams is going to do well as the other receiver in that Seattle game. Most of the coverage is going to float Dez's way. So I think that he's going to play well. And then, of course, Outlaw's also got the Bronco D going up against that inept Jets offense. So look for them to do well, too. So taking all that into consideration, Outlaw was getting 7. This is another upset special. I've got Outlaw to win in that matchup. Shark at Mama. For Shark, I like Ahmad Bradshaw. I think Indianapolis has finally figured out that he's the horse that they need to ride, and the Texans' run D is really bad. And as we know, these Thursday night games tend to be showcases for the running backs and not so much for the quarterbacks and wide receivers. So I think that Shark's going to have a real gold nugget there in Ahmad Bradshaw going against the Texans. On the other side of the house, Mama, I think Mama's going to ground and pound this week. She's got 3 real productive backs in the lineup. Sankey against Jacksonville. I know Sankey's not getting the touches, but if he's going to break out against anybody, it's going to be against the Jaguars, who are horrible against the run and the pass. He's got Oliver against Oakland. We saw what Oliver could do last week, and Oakland is a pretty sad defense, and of course he's got nobody to share the touches with there. Now with everybody being down with injury, he's basically the go-to back. And then Joik Bell against Minnesota. We don't know if Reggie Bush is going to play. Bell could be carrying the entire workload. So 3 true home run hitters there, and could be good in that lineup for Mama. The last thing that's in Mama's favor is got a ton of San Diego players against Oakland. In that game, I think San Diego should really take it to Oakland. I think there's going to be a lot of points scored on the San Diego side of the house. So with the kicker and the defense and a couple other things going their way in that San Diego-Oakland game, I like Mama. Shark was getting 5. I think Shark truly is a dog this week. And what else could happen in the lot? Have we ever had a game where it was one end of the spectrum being perfect against the other? I mean, poetic justice. Mama's going to pull the win against the undefeated team to ruin his perfect season and Shark's perfect season at the same time. So I got Mama to win. Ben at Hooley. Ben's getting 1. This is a tight one. I guess you could call it game of the week because it was the tightest game. For Ben, he's got the best running backs of the week with Forte and Le'Veon Bell. Forte going up against Atlanta. Atlanta's horrible against the run. And then Bell going up against Cleveland. He's already played them once this year, had a really nice game in week 1. So I look for both those guys to really produce at a high level. I talked about Phil Dawson a little bit earlier. He's averaging 78 points a week, I think, over the last couple weeks. So look for him to continue that trend against St. Louis on Monday night. For Hooley, good running back matchups as well. Gio and Stephanie against the Bears. You know, Gio's going up against a Carolina defense that's been gashed last week by Matt Forte, so I think he should have some room to run this week. And then Stephanie against the Bears. The Bears' struggles against the run have been well documented. Stephanie obviously isn't the player he used to be, but probably getting 60 to 65% of the snaps at running back for Atlanta. I think you should have a decent day. The wide receivers for Julio are a bit of a mess. You know, you got Crabtree. Yeah, he may be the best wide receiver, but he's playing on a team that's a run-first team. You know, even the quarterback's tucking and running. So it's hard to get excited about Crabtree because he just doesn't get that involved in the game plan. And then Tate, I talked about a little bit earlier. Maybe with Megatron out this week, his role steps up a little bit. But it's been a little bit of tough sledding for that entire Lions offense, so it's hard to get excited about Tate either. The last thing I want to talk about with this game was really Russell Wilson isn't getting the credit he's due by the site in the projections that they're giving him because he does so much with his legs. You know, I think that the 5 points that they're giving him is based on what he's going to do for passing yards and passing touchdowns. That's not where this guy kills you. I mean, he'll run the ball 6 times for 100 yards and a score. So, you know, you take that on top of his passing stats, on top of his passing touchdowns. You know, I think instead of 5 points, it's more like 10 or 12. So even though Ben was the underdog, I think Wilson's being underrated in this matchup. And I've got Ben winning with another upset special. And that's the outcome of the game of the week for me. So counting it up, I think we had 3 upset specials this week. Pretty big stuff. But you know, 17-8 doesn't lie. Kiper knows what he's doing. So you guys have a good week 6, and I will see you in week 7. Bye-bye.